Hello, tech enthusiast. I am Anya Sharma, your host for this session and a proud member of Junior Council at NameSpace Community, a dynamic tech-based society at BPIT, dedicated to fostering a vibrant community focused on peer support, tech awareness, skill development, and innovation. Welcome to TechXcelerate 2.0, where innovation meets acceleration. Get ready for an exhilarating journey into the future of technology. Following the resounding success of previous year, boosting 15 plus hours interaction, a cumulative attendance over 1200, a massive 6000 plus socials, and an impressive 4.7 rating. We are poised for yet another exceptional experience. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and immersed in the world of technology. Throughout the week, we have an incredible lineup of speakers, each an expert in their respective domain, such as open source, artificial intelligence, machine learning and data science, Web3, cybersecurity, DevOps, web development, and app development. A special shout out to our community partners for their invaluable support on this exciting journey. Finally, keeping the best for the last, there is an exciting surprise awaiting you at the conclusion of this session. So stay tuned, enjoy the session to its fullest, and get ready to be pleasantly surprised at the end. And what better way to commence this incredible voyage than delving into the core of tech excellence, data structures and algorithms, the building blocks of computational problem solving, in the realm of circuits and bytes, where every line's a work of grace. Let's dive into the tech adventure with setting the pace. टेक एक्सेलरेट 2.0 की शुरुआत है दिल से वेलकम करते हैं सबका यार डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड एल्गोरिथम्स का है सफर जहां कोडिंग है किसी की नफरत और किसी का प्यार कोड की दुनिया में है हमारा इरादा लेकिन थोड़ा तो स्पाइस अप बनता है यार टेक एक्सेलरेट में है मजा यहाँ है टेक का जश्न एंड नो भार In today's fast-paced world, where every millisecond counts, mastering DSA is not just an asset, it's a necessity. Ladies and gentlemen, this extraordinary event, we have an exceptional speaker who will set the tone for the entire week. A warm welcome to esteemed speaker Priyansh Agarwal, CEO at TLE Eliminators, an exceptional competitive programmer, master on code forces with Indian rank 34. He's achieved global rank 1 in Google's Kickstart 2022 and earned the title of ICPC World Finalist with an India rank of 7 in the ICPC Regionals 2022. We welcome you, Priyansh.
Thank you so much, Anya, for the warm welcome, and I look forward to the session here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, just a second. Can I get to see the chat somehow? Because I would love to interact with the people as
Yeah,
well.
definitely. Our audience is too excited to interact to you also.
Okay, I'm just trying to find out where can I see the chat. I can only see the react button here, but yeah, I can't see the chat.
Okay, all right.
Just a second, I guess. Are you able to see the chat? Can somebody try writing something in the chat and maybe Anya can confirm if she can see it?
Yes, let me just confirm you because I can see the chat option on my screen and even the chat.
Just a second. Yep, I can't see the chat here.
Is it visible now?
No. Can you kind of direct me as to
it's in the top bar at the left of people?
Yeah, I see nothing at the top of at the left of the people section.
Okay.
Are the other people able to see the chat? People who are attending the call, are they able to see the chat as well?
Yes, I think the participants and attendees can see the chat.
Okay, just a second then.
Is it available now?
Yep, I see some Q&A here. Is that the one you were talking about?
Not exactly, but yeah, that can be used too. People can ask their questions there.
I think the chat option is just left to the raise hand option, if you can see it.
I can see people here. There is a people icon on the left
Okay.
of my raise icon, but
Mhm.
there is no chat icon. Do you want me to kind of join again, maybe?
Yeah,
If
please,
that helps.
definitely. Go ahead.
Okay, Priyansh, we can do one thing. Actually, the participants have the permission to like raise hands. They can raise hands whenever they want to say something, and we can unmute them, and you can talk to them directly. The chat is not available somehow. Does that work for you?
And also there is a Q&A session. From there also you can just ask questions and the audience can answer you back. We request the participants to just wait for a minute. There is a technical glitch. It will be sought and it will be resumed. The session will be resumed. Till then, I request the audience to just have their doubts with them because this session has to be great and it will be great. So you can ask the doubts at the end of the session, and also it has to be interactive session. So I request the audience to react, to have a more interactive questions with the speaker.
Okay, I think we already have some questions in Q&A. When Priyansh comes, he can see those questions. You can ask more questions if you want to. Raise as
Exactly.
many questions as you want.
Hmm.
We can use Q&A, no worries.
Okay. All right, guys. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Cool. Just give me a second. I'll just share my screen. Yep. Also, I would, then be using the Q&A section here for all the doubts.
Yes.
So, guys, feel free
Yes.
to, write down any questions that you have in this Q&A box here, and I would pick them up during the session. And feel free to write anything in the chat. It's not like that I will speak for 15 minutes only, then you can start asking your questions. You can ask your questions in the middle, and I would continue to pick them up as long as they're relevant to what I'm covering at that very moment. All right. So yeah, let me share my screen then. Yep. Can you guys confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Let me see. And am I also visible, or like is just the screen visible?
No, everything is fine.
Okay, guys. Let's get started then. So I'll just move to my slides here. So yeah, this is going to be a session on DSA and competitive programming. And I would not talk a lot about DSA because I feel that there is just a lot of content available around DSA itself. So I would like to talk more about competitive programming side. Why? Because my overall experience has been primarily towards the competitive programming side. For example, like this is a bit about me. I am the CEO and founder at TLE Eliminators. This is a startup primarily based around competitive programming. Secondly, I'm also an incoming ICPC World Finalist. What does that mean? So ICPC is like the Olympics of competitive programming, right? So this is like a college level competition wherein from every single country there are certain teams that represent that country and their colleges in the overall world finals, right? So there are multiple stages. Like first of all, there is like the online preliminary round. Then there is the regional contest wherein you go and attempt a contest. Then there is the Asia West Continent Finals wherein you have teams from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, all of these other countries as well, right? And then finally, if you qualify, if you have a very good performance, you end up representing India at the ICPC World Finalist. This is like the pinnacle of competitive programming. If you become an ICPC World Finalist, or if you get a very good rank in ICPC World Finals, that's like the pinnacle. Like there is no other, point by which you can define whether a person is a good competitive programmer or not, right? Thirdly, I also got India Rank 1 in Google Kickstart. This used to be a competition run by Google until 2022. And this was a very famous competition, by the way. For some of you who have just joined college, because I was going through the attendees list, and I could see that most of you are in your first year or your second year. So you might not know about this competition called Google Kickstart. But this was one of the competitions through which Google used to hire extensively, right? People who used to perform very well in this competition were hired by Google or were sent interview invites at least by Google, right? Fourthly, I'm also a master on Code Forces. This is again, Code Forces is like the most famous competitive programming website, and I have an India rank of 34 on that, compared to almost like 45,000 Indians who are registered on Code Forces. Secondly, furthermore, I have basically worked at Goldman Sachs as an SD intern, and then I was working at Zomato as a software development engineer for the last around 4 months. And then I left my job to kind of pursue my startup and also look for jobs which could provide me a better work-life balance. So right now I'm working at Salesforce, and I also am running my own startup, which is called TLE Eliminators, right? And I am also, a lot into content creation. I create a lot of content around competitive programming on platforms like Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. So these are some of the stats. You can probably go and just Google up Priyansh Agarwal. You would probably find about me, right? So that's a bit about me. And I'll just come back to this screen and see if anybody has any questions. Feel free to write +1 in the chat if you're excited. If you're excited for this session where we will be talking about DSA, competitive programming, a bit about internships, placements, how are all of these things related? What is the difference between DSA and CP? How do you get started with DSA and CP? All of these things. Right. Cool. I don't see anything in the Q&A section, so I feel that there are no doubts at the moment. Or yeah, I mean, cool. What you guys can also do is you can use this react button here, right? You could react with anything, like you could react with a thumbs up or this love button or anything, right? If you're able to understand, and whenever I'm asking you anything, you can also react. Okay, so that would give me some idea. Cool. So let's first of all talk about what is this, domain of data structures and algorithms. So I'll give you an example here. Let's suppose you want to, store some data, right? Let's suppose you have a lot of emails. For example, this could be a problem. Like, let's suppose there are 300 people who are attending the session. That's not an accurate number, but let's assume that there are 300 people who are attending the session. Let's suppose I want to, get everyone's email so that after the session, if I have to share some resources, I can share those resources with all the people who have attended the session, right? So how would you go about storing this data, right? And that is where this place, where this thing of data structures comes into the picture. What you have to do is that you have a bunch of data. You have to figure out a way of storing that data, basically storing it in a container. For example, if you have water, right, you could either, let's suppose use a glass to store water, or you could use a bottle to store water, or anything else, right? You could probably store water in fry pan. Anything you could do. Those are all data structures, right? And then you need to decide which data structure do you want to use to store a particular type of data. For example, if you look at this linked list, right, you would be able to see this thing, which is known as a linked list. And although the wording is not correct, it should have been linked list and not linked list. This is one of the data structures in which you could store data. Similarly, a list, for example, you could store a data in the form of an array, right? Or you could store the data in the form of a variable, right? All of these things are data structures, right? How do you store data so that whenever you have to retrieve the data, you can do it very easily? That's called data structures. Similarly, there is this concept of algorithms, right? I'll give you an example. Let's suppose you want to travel from Delhi to Gurgaon, right? Or any place, right? Let's suppose Gurgaon to Noida. Then have you seen that, when you go onto this Google Maps tells you what is the shortest path to go from, like, not exactly the shortest path, but the one which has the least amount of traffic, the one which takes the least amount of time, or, the one which is the shortest as well, right? Google tells you all of these things. And how are you getting all of these things, right? Can somebody write it in the chat of what would be the algorithm that Google must be using to find out the shortest path between two cities or between 2 points? That's basically an algorithm. How do you, you come up with a technique so that you can solve a problem? That's basically an algorithm, right? How many of you know what's the algorithm that Google uses, or what's the algorithm used to find the shortest path from one node or one point to the other? Just write a thumbs up if you know that thing, right? Write a thumbs up, or maybe, yeah, just raise your hand, anything, right? Like, if you know, just write a thumbs up or a love icon, anything. Yes. So this is basically known as an algorithm. And I'll tell you the name. Google uses this algorithm called Dijkstra, Dijkstra. This is the algorithm that Google uses, called Dijkstra, to find out the shortest path from one node to the other, right? So this is the overall domain of data structures and algorithms. Now you might ask me that, okay, Priyansh, you're telling us this concept of data structures, algorithms. Why is it important, right? Why do you why do we even care about it, right? That could be a question that you might ask. So a very obvious, answer for this is that you all do programming, right? Like, let's suppose I give you a task to print the sum of first n natural numbers. How would you do this thing? Let's suppose you want to get the sum of natural numbers from 1, 2, 3, so on up till, let's suppose, 500. How would you go about solving this problem? Like, one thing that you could do is that you could write a for loop. Now, I understand, a lot of you might not know about these concepts, but let's just assume that a for loop is something that can help you go from 1 to 500 and keep adding up all the numbers, right? So you could add up all the numbers using a for loop. That would take 500 operations, right? Because 1 plus 2 plus 3, so on up till 500. This is going to take 500 operations. But do you all remember that, in class 11th or 12th, or maybe in class 10th, you were told about this formula that if you want to find the sum of first n natural numbers, you could just use this formula, n into n plus 1 by 2. How many of you remember this formula? That if you want to find the sum of first n natural numbers, you could use n into n plus 1 by 2. That's a formula, right? Now, that is just one way to solve this problem, correct? One of the ways to solve this problem was what? You could go from 1 to n or 1 to 500 and sum up all the values. The other method is that you just multiply n with n plus 1 and divide it by 2. And you also get the same result, right? So if you look at this entire thing, what have we done? We have basically used an algorithm or like a formula here, right? So this is like an algorithm is a technique to solve a problem. And you have to come up with the most efficient technique to solve a problem, right? For example, when you are searching for the shortest path to go from Delhi to Gurgaon, have you seen that, Google is able to compute this answer so quickly? Like, they are able to tell you that exact path so quickly, right? How do you think that is happening? That's happening because the algorithm that Google is using is very, very fast, right? Now, I'll give you one more example. Let's suppose you use a website, right? Would you want to use a website which has a very slow loading time or which has a very fast loading time? Which one would you use? Obviously, you would prefer a website which loads up instantly, right? All the images load up instantly, all the text loads up instantly. So if you look at this entire domain, right, it's not just about programming or building a product, it's about building the most efficient product, right? Products that can be used by millions of people and they don't lag. For example, YouTube, right? Like obviously there are other components like your internet might be slow or any other thing, right? Your computer might be slow that YouTube starts buffering. But if YouTube starts buffering, even when your internet is fast, even when your computer is the most amazing, don't you think that product would be just very, very bad? It would have a very bad experience. So that is why data structures and algorithms are so important. They help you get the answer for a certain type of problem very, very quickly. Okay, now tell me one thing. What do you think? If you look at tech companies like Google, Microsoft, Adobe, Salesforce, all of these companies, do you think they should be caring about these concepts like data structures, algorithms, or do you think they would not care about them? What do you think? Yes or no? Do you think they would care about these concepts or not? They would, right? Because they are having products which are being used by millions and billions of people, right? They want the product to be the most efficient. So that is why when you look at tech jobs or maybe interviews, this concept of DSA becomes the most important, right? So earlier in the days, it was just expected that you know Python or you know Java or you know C++ to if you know basic programming, people used to consider you smart. But now that is no longer the scenario. Now it is expected that you know a programming language, but you also know how to code efficiently, right? And you can only code efficiently when you know data structures and algorithms. Okay, is everyone on the same page here? Have you understood what are data structures and algorithms? Again, we haven't gone into the depth of what exactly are those data structures and algorithms, but just a general sense that, okay, this is where they might be used, right? Cool. So we've talked about what is DSA. DSA is basically data structures and algorithms. Data structures are containers where you store this data. Algorithms are how you can manipulate this data to solve your problem. Okay, why is it important? I've already told you. They are important because you want to build efficient applications. You don't want to build applications that are slow, right? So that is why, and it is not just important from the sense of building an efficient product. It is also very, very important from the sense of getting a job, right? If you are, let's suppose, into software engineering, it is not just expected that you can build a product. It is expected that you build the most efficient product, which can be used by millions and billions of people, right? That is why even when you go around interviewing for companies like Google, Microsoft, or any other companies, this becomes really, really very important. Okay. Now, there is one more, doubt that you might have, right? If you look at companies which are startups, for example, Zomato, for example, Swiggy, or for example, Ola, right? If you look at these companies, do you think these companies care about these data structures and algorithms, or do you think they don't care about it? What do you think? Like Google, Microsoft, we understand they're building products which are huge, right? They're used by so many people. So they care about this concept of data structures and algorithms. But what about Zomato? What about Swiggy? What about Ola, Uber, Oyo Rooms? What do you think? Do you think they care about these concepts? Or do you think they don't care about them? The answer is that they care about them, but they also care about shipping. What is the meaning of shipping? Basically, let's suppose I tell you that you have a college project. Okay, if you have a college project and you have to build some application in that college project. Okay, would you care about building the most efficient application for your college project? The answer is probably no, because you just want to get the job done, right? So when you look at startups, they are not so concerned about building application at scale. Like obviously, Zomato, Swiggy are operating at a big scale right now, but when they were starting out, they would not care about these concepts so much, right? So when you're applying for startups, right, like these startups like Zomato, Swiggy, again, these are big startups. You could probably consider a startup like TLE Eliminators, right? This is a startup where we would not care about somebody joining the team and being very, very efficient in data structures and algorithms, correct? We would care about them being able to ship products fast, correct? So when you apply for a startup, data structure and algorithms are not so important. What is more important is your technical skills, right? Like, are you able to code in Python, let's suppose? Are you able to use React, for example, right? These are more important skills. But for companies like Google, Microsoft, big tech companies, data structures and algorithms are much more important than you being good in React or you being good in backend, frontend. These things are not important for them. What is important for them is that you being very, very smart, you being a good problem solver, right? Now the question is how to start, right? Like, you know that data structures and algorithms are important. You have to master them to get a good job. You have to master them to build good products. How do you get started, right? And for that, the very first thing is that, you need to start with a programming language. Obviously, when you're learning about data structures and algorithms, there is no use of learning them if you can't code them, right? So you have to learn a programming language first. Now, what is the most, like, which would be the best programming language to learn? Can somebody write their opinion in the chat? Which programming language do you think you should be learning? Yes, I'll wait for some time for you to write something in the chat. Not exactly in the chat, but in the Q&A section. So let me know, what are your preferences of programming languages? Okay. Raj is saying C++. Okay. Why do you think C++ is the most important, Raj? Like, why do you think you should be learning C++? Shouldn't you probably learn JavaScript or maybe Python or maybe Java or maybe Golang, right? Why do you think you should learn C++? Okay, somebody saying Java, somebody saying C++. Again, I tell you one thing here. See, it doesn't matter which programming language you get started with. Okay, if you get started with Java, if you get started with Python, if you get started with C++, all of them are the same. The only crux is that you need to build on your programming fundamentals, right? How do you build on your programming fundamentals? By just learning one programming language and going very, very deep into it. Okay, so it doesn't matter which programming language you start with. Now, like again, here my recommendations would be that you start with C++, Java, or Python. Why? Because most of the companies, right, when you're interviewing for most of the companies, they would expect you to code in Java, C++, or Python. They would most likely not expect you to code in JavaScript at that moment, right? So if you're looking from a hiring perspective, I would recommend you to start with Java, Python, or C++. And I would even recommend you to start with Python over Java and C++. Why? Because it is much easier to learn, right? Java and C++ are a bit more syntax heavy. It is a bit difficult to learn them. But if you learn Java or C++, it is almost, very, very easy to go into any other programming language. Okay, so your task should be to pick up any programming language. It could be Java, Python, C++, JavaScript, anyone. My recommendation would be to start with Python. And then once you get comfortable with it, that is the time when you can figure out that, okay, do I need to learn about data structure algorithms? Or do I need to get into app development? Do I need to get into web development? All of these things. If you want to get into a particular domain, then search about which is the best programming language to learn for that domain. Okay, for data structures and algorithms, it doesn't matter. All of these three languages are almost equal. You can even do it in JavaScript or any other language as well. Okay, so that should be, I think, clear to all of you. Now, another question that you might ask is that, what is the right time to start DSA? Like, how much time would it be required to learn DSA? Should I start DSA right now when I'm starting my college life? Or should I start DSA, let's suppose, 3 months before my placement drive starts or my internship drive starts? Right? Let me ask you guys, what do you think is the right time to start DSA? Okay, Ankit also wrote that C++ has less execution time and has a larger community. So that's why you can prefer C++. Yes, that's correct, Ankit. That's a valid point. Yes, somebody saying ASAP, somebody saying now. Okay. Now I'll tell you one thing. See, data structures and algorithms are just one domain. Okay, in tech, there are other domains like machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain. There are a lot of domains like web development, Android development, data science. There are so many domains. DSA is just one of the domains, right? So my personal recommendation is that, you should start learning DSA when you're absolutely sure that, okay, now I want to prepare for placements. Okay, when you're starting your college life, there is no point in learning DSA at that very moment. Okay, like when you're starting in your first semester, if you start learning about DSA, the problem would be that, you would have your placement drive or your internship drive almost 2 years later. Right? And you are learning about something, you're kind of memorizing things. For example, you learn about this thing that in order to search an element in an array, you would use binary search. Okay. You are trying to learn all of these things, but at the very moment, if you're not applying those things, then it is irrelevant. Right? For example, if you want to get into web development, do you think learning DSA right now would be helpful? Like, you are starting in your first semester of college, you've learned Python, and then you've decided to go for web development. Do you think learning DSA is important right now? The answer is no. And what happens, because of this entire, like it's a trap here. If you look at it, if you start learning DSA right from first semester, you are learning DSA from the perspective that you want to crack a good placement. What would happen is that right from your first semester, going all the way up till sixth semester, you would continue doing just DSA, right? And you would have learned nothing else. And let me give you a harsh reality about DSA. It's not very difficult to master DSA. Even if you spend 6 months, 8 months, or at max 1 year of time, 1 year of time properly, it is more than enough to master DSA. You would not require more than that time, right? But we also have to understand that there are other domains. You might like, let's suppose, web development more than DSA. You might like machine learning more than DSA. But if you continue doing DSA right from first semester, going all the way up till sixth semester, there is a big opportunity cost involved. What is that opportunity cost? The opportunity cost is that you might be inclined towards other domains, but you never explored them. Why? Because you were so engrossed in learning DSA, right? So my personal recommendation is that when you're absolutely sure that, okay, I have my placements coming up in the next 9 months, now is the time when I need to focus just on placements. I don't need to focus on exploring, or I don't need to focus on, like trying out other domains. That is the time when you should start learning DSA. Okay. So are you all on the same page here? Have you understood why learning DSA right now might not be the best scenario, but learning DSA when you're absolutely sure that you want to try for placements or internships, that is the best scenario. Okay. So I'll go through the doubts just once. So Yashwant is saying, hey Priyansh, I am in my 4th semester and I'm not sure how to start. Can you? Yeah, I will talk about how to start. Don't worry. But right now, it is more important for you to understand when to start, how to, like what are the things that you need to learn before starting. Got it? Cool. For people who are in the 3rd year, 2nd year, you can still start. But for 1st year people, I would not recommend you to go for DSA. I would just recommend you to master one programming language at the best. That's all. Okay. And after that, you need to start figuring out what is that domain that interests you. Are you interested in machine learning? Are you interested in web development? If you're interested in one of those domains, I would recommend you to try out that domain first before thinking about mastering DSA. Okay, clear to everyone? Why do we need different data structures? I think we've already talked about it, so let's not talk about that. Like, different data structures are simple, right? You have data. Let's suppose you might be like, one of the applications could be that, let's suppose you want the person, like let's suppose you're using Amazon, okay? And Amazon wants to find out the person who has ordered the most in that particular day. Then you would require some sort of sorting, right? You would want to sort the entire data based on the number of orders. So for that, a different type of data structure might be used. Similarly, somebody might require the sum of all the values from, sum of all the orders, for example, right? For that, you might require a different data structure. So that is why there are different data structures involved in different applications. Got it? Cool. Now I think you are on the right track here. So now let's talk about how do you get started with DSA? And for that, there is just 2 channels that you need to follow. One is Take You Forward, the other one is Striver. And Take You Forward is also the channel which is run by this person known as Striver. His name is Raj Vikramaditya. He's a software engineer at Google. He's also a very close friend of mine. And he has some amazing content, right? You can go onto his channel, Take You Forward. You will find very, very good, very structured content around DSA, right? So if I had to just tell you one place to learn DSA, it would be these 2 channels. In fact, not even Striver's channel so much, but Take You Forward, this particular channel. This has all the content that you need to master DSA. Okay, I will also, let me just show you this channel here, right? So this is the channel. Are you able to see my screen, by the way? Like, I am opening YouTube. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, we can see that. No issue.
This is the channel, Take You Forward. You can just go through this channel. It contains all the material that is required to learn about DSA. And you can also check out this website known as Take You Forward. Look at this website. So if you're somebody who is just starting out, who has just learned a programming language, there are these sheets available. You can start with Striver's A to Z sheet, or you could start with Striver's SD sheet. Now, if you look at it, he has also very clearly mentioned that, Striver's A to Z sheet is for absolute beginners, while Striver's SD sheet is for anyone who knows DSA. Okay. Now, if you're somebody who has already done DSA, and if you're in the, let's suppose, last 3 months of your placement preparation, that is the time when you can do Striver's SD sheet. This is the same sheet that I did for all of my interviews, all of my preparation for tech hiring. A to Z sheet is not something that I did because while I was in college, this sheet was not available. So I did not start my programming journey from this sheet. I just did normal Geeks for Geeks, the Geeks for Geeks ad is also coming up here. So I just did normal Geeks for Geeks, lead code, all of these things. And I also did a lot of competitive programming. So these were the things that I did not do. But Striver's SD sheet is something that almost everyone does, right? These contain some standard problems like arrays are there, linked list is there. These are all the data structures, okay? Greedy algorithms, these are algorithms. Then you have recursion. This is also a type of an algorithm. And you have certain problems available. Like you can go into this problem, start solving it, right? Just like this is not the problem link, but just a second. There are some ads as well on this website. So yeah, if you go on to this platform, let's suppose this one, this is lead code. You could, okay, he has mentioned lead code, but this is Geeks for Geeks. But anyway, yeah. You could start solving this problem. If you're not able to solve it, just go on to this solution. You will find the solution as well. Right. So all of the things are provided here. If it is about DSA, I would highly recommend you to not go for any paid course or any such thing. All the content is available and it is available in the most structured manner. Right. So all you have to do is you don't have to start with Striver's SD sheet. This is the sheet which you need to do when you're at the end of your placement preparation. This is the sheet which you can start with if you know just the basics of coding. Like you have just learned one programming language, right? If you look at this, see, he has talked about this thing, learning the basics, building up logical thinking, learning about C++, STL, basic math, all of these things are available, right? And these are through problems. So you could go and start solving this very, very basic problem, for example. Okay, is it clear to everyone how you can get started with DSA? I should have closed my WhatsApp before I started presenting, but anyway. Right, just write a +1 or anything, right? Give me a thumbs up if you've understood how to start DSA. Somebody is saying, sir, he teaches in C++, but if we are doing DSA in Python, see, DSA is not language specific. Like if I tell you binary search, अब आप मुझसे ये थोड़ा ना कहोगे कि binary search C++ में अलग तरीके से लिखा जाता है और Java में अलग तरीके से लिखा जाता है ना? तो लैंग्वेज को कभी भी ऐसे बैरियर नहीं मानना है, ठीक है? कि आपको C++ आती है और अगर आपको कोई पाइथन का ट्यूटोरियल दे रहा है तो उसको ये नहीं बोलना है कि भाई मुझे तो C++ ही आती है सर, मैं एकदम नूब हूँ, उसको ये नहीं बताना जाके। अगर तुम ये किसी कंपनी के इंटरव्यू में जाके बोलोगे कि यार तुम तो पाइथन पे काम करते हो, मुझे तो सर C++ आती है, तो तुम्हें वो रिजेक्ट कर देंगे, ठीक है? बिकॉज when we talk about programming, it is not language specific, okay? But a language is just one way to write code, and you can transition into any other language very easily. Okay, so never make this language thing a barrier. ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि C++ आती है तो और कुछ आता ही नहीं है, ठीक है? Cool. I think yeah, we're done with the doubts. Let's come to this thing. Sorry. Yeah. Let me come to this. So Striver's SD sheet is what you can use, and this is what is also there in this slide. Okay, you can check out both of these two channels, and you will be able to master DSA completely. Okay. Now let's talk a bit about competitive programming. Okay, how many of you heard about this name, competitive programming? Okay, somebody saying I have been actively working on DSA with around 300 problems solved. I have 5 to 6 months before my 6th semester. I am focusing on CP and development projects. Any tips for acing online assessments? Tips for acing online assessments, do competitive programming. DSA से online assessments नहीं निकलते, ठीक है? DSA is for interviews. इस पे हम आएंगे. We will talk about what is the difference between DSA and CP, all of these things. So don't worry. Okay, yeah. So I am saying that some of you have already heard about competitive programming, right? What exactly is competitive programming? Can somebody write it in the chat and tell me what exactly is competitive programming? Okay, let me see. Somebody has written solving problems that is based upon real life experiences. No, competitive programming is starkly different from real life. Okay, Ankit is saying it is a mind sport. Okay. What else? How can you define competitive programming? Again, the same thing happens. Let's suppose I tell you, you have to sum up the values from 1 to n, right? How would you do it? There are two ways. One is that you can write a for loop, right? You can write a simple for loop and go from 1 to 500, sum up all the values. The other is that you can use this formula n into n plus 1 by 2, right? Now there are two components here. One is the efficiency, right? Is one code efficient from the other? That's the most important thing. Like which of these two codes is going to execute? Let's suppose the first code is running a for loop from 1 to 500 and you're summing up all the values. The second code is just finding out n into n plus 1 by 2 or 500 into 501 by 2. Which code do you think is going to run faster? First one or the second one? The second one is going to run faster. Yes, that is one of the concepts. Which code runs faster? The second concept is which person is able to think faster. For example, there are two people, person X and person Y. Person X is able to think about this formula n into n plus 1 by 2 faster than person Y. Then can I say person X is better than person Y? Like both of them are writing the same code now. Okay, the approach is same, but person X is able to think about the approach faster than person Y. So can I say person X is better than person Y? And that's how this entire field becomes competitive. So basically, you just don't have to come up with the right approach or the most optimal approach. You also have to come up with the most optimal approach quickly, the fastest that you can come up with it, right? That's how this name competitive programming comes into the picture. So essentially, you are doing the same thing. You are solving a problem, a coding problem using data structures, using algorithms, using some tricks, right? But you are also competing with other people. Okay. Now tell me one thing. Let's suppose you are a company like Google or Microsoft. Okay. You want to hire the person who has the best knowledge in DSA and who has the best problem solving skills. Again, see, it is not just about DSA. DSA is a bunch of concepts. Okay. For example, if I tell you division, for example, if I tell you multiplication, addition, subtraction, all of these are concepts, right? Similarly, DSA is a concept, or these are a bunch of concepts. But being able to apply these concepts in practice problems or in particular coding problems, this is known as actual problem solving, right? So when you look at companies like Google, Microsoft, or any other big tech companies, they are looking for people who know about DSA, who have good concept knowledge in DSA, but who are also good problem solvers. So how do you think people are going to be differentiated? Let's suppose there are two people, A and B. How do you think you are going to differentiate between person A and person B based on the knowledge of the DSA and the speed with which they are able to solve the problems, right? So that is why most of these companies, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, they have these coding tests, right? Before you can interview for these companies, they also have this coding test. And in these coding tests, what you are tested on is not standard concepts in DSA. What you are tested on is that, okay, you know about standard concepts. Are you able to apply these standard concepts in new problems? Yes, that is what these companies want, right? Ultimately, you are not going to be working on a college project when you join Google or Microsoft. You are going to be working on some product that is designed by them. So it is very important that you are able to use your knowledge into new problems. Whenever you're provided with new problems, you are able to solve them quickly. Correct? So now, are you able to understand what is kind of competitive programming? It is the same as DSA. It is about knowing a bunch of concepts, but being able to apply those concepts properly, but being able to apply those concepts in a fast scenario. Right? Exactly. Let me go through the chat. So Priyanshu is saying, I'm more into generative AI, LLMs, and I know full stack completely. Do I need to focus on DSA and CP a lot? No. If you want to get into machine learning, artificial intelligence, why do you need DSA? You don't need DSA then. Again, you need to write efficient code, but when you're applying for a machine learning position, nobody's going to test your DSA knowledge. They're going to test you on your machine learning knowledge, right? So when I say DSA or when I say competitive programming, these are for general people, right? General people as in, अगर आप Google में apply कर रहे हो, for example, तो या तो आप एज अ मशीन लर्निंग इंजीनियर अप्लाई करोगे, राइट? या फिर आप एज अ नॉर्मल सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर अप्लाई करोगे. नॉर्मल सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर और मशीन लर्निंग इंजीनियर में क्या फर्क है? मशीन लर्निंग इंजीनियर इज अ स्पेशलिस्ट who has domain knowledge of machine learning. A general software engineer is somebody who can pick up anything. If you give them machine learning, if you give them web development, if you give them Android development, they can pick up anything, right? So most of the people, 95% people apply on a general position. They don't apply on a specialist position. Right? So when you're applying on a general position, you will be tested on general problem solving skills. How do you test that? Using DSA and competitive programming. Okay. Is it clear to all of you? Like, what is the essence of competitive programming? Let me also share an example. Right? This is the most famous competitive programming platform. I'll give you an example what happens here. Like, this is my profile on this platform. So let's come to the section of contests. Let's look at this one contest. This is the educational code forces round 161. How many people participated in it? 35,000 people participated in it. Okay. So if you look at it, this contains a bunch of coding problems. Let's look at this one problem. So this will contain a bunch of data. Like, okay, you are given an integer n and 3 strings A, B, and C, each consisting of n lowercase Latin letters. So this is a story, right? They will give you the constraint that, okay, n, which is the length of the, which is an integer provided to you. It can go from 1 to 20, right? All of these constraints are given to you. Then they give you some sample input and some sample output. What this means is that you need to come up with a technique. You need to come up with a program that can solve this problem, which can take in this input and can give you this right output. Okay. Now tell me one thing. If you are testing somebody, right, you would want to test them on a general scale. You would not say that, okay, I am giving you one input, give me the output. अब अगर आपको ये इनपुट मिला है, आप तो सीधा आउटपुट प्रिंट कर दोगे ना ये वाला. तो हम कैसे टेस्ट करेंगे आपका कोड सही है? हम टेस्ट करेंगे हिडन टेस्ट केसेस के थ्रू. So let me show you some examples of hidden test cases. So if you look at this particular submission, this person, Warna Cute, this person solved this problem C, right? And they submitted this code to solve this problem. Again, this got a wrong answer. What this means is that this person submitted a code which was not correct, right? So look at it. See, this person submitted this code which was working fine on this first test case. It gave the right answer for the first test case, but for the second test case, it failed. Like code forces is clearly telling us that it failed. Wrong answer. Fourth number numbers differ. Expected 55, found 66, right? So basically what is happening here? You are writing a piece of code that is going to run on a lot of test cases. Look at this. See, here they are telling us that this particular code, this code ran on so many test cases. See, this particular code ran on so many test cases and it gave the right result on every single test case, right? So it did not just give the right result, but it also gave the right result in an amount of time. See, this problem has this time limit, 2 seconds. What does this mean? This means that when you submit a code, that code should run in 2 seconds. And it also has a memory limit. What does this mean? This means that your code should not use more than this much memory. For example, if you are declaring an array, you cannot declare an array so big that it uses more memory than this. So are you able to understand what is competitive programming here? This is just one problem, right? This is one coding problem. Now look at the standings. How do you compare two people? Which person is better than the other one? First is that, okay, in a given limited amount of time, which person is able to solve more problems? See, these people are able to solve 6 problems. All the 6 problems they were able to solve. From the contest, they were all able to solve all the 6 problems. But now you will see that there were some people who were able to solve 5 problems. These people who were able to solve 5 problems are ranked lower than the people who are able to solve 6 problems. So can I say the person who is able to solve more problems in a given amount of time will be better than the person who is able to solve less problems in the given amount of time? Yes. Secondly, if you look at this thing, all of these people have solved 6 problems, but how are we saying that this person is better? This first person is better than the second person. This is based on this concept of penalty. What is this penalty? This is the time penalty. See, I'll show you how is this time penalty calculated. If you add up all these numbers, add up 3, 5, 11, 17, 24, and 41, you would get this number 101. What does this mean? This means that this person, this particular person, Sugar Fan, this person solved this problem in 3 minutes. This person solved this problem in 5 minutes. They solved this problem in 11 minutes. So in total, they took 101 minutes to solve all the problems. And this person took 108 minutes to solve all the problems. So are you able to understand how competitive programming is a bit different from DSA? See, if you look at Take You Forward, this was the website that we said that you need to learn DSA from. Look at this website. Is there any ranking involved here? Like there is one problem available, but is there any concept of ranking? No. Here you are just concerned about solving this problem efficiently. But in competitive programming, you are also ranked. So you are competing with people. So are you all able to understand what is the kind of difference between DSA and CP? And what exactly is competitive programming? Yes. Now, again, I would give a small plugin. You could also, visit my YouTube channel. I post a lot of content around CP, and you would find all the content that you need to learn competitive programming. Okay, so let's pause this. So I'll come to this playlist. This is one of the playlists which you can refer to. Competitive programming guidance. Okay, you could start from this playlist. I've talked about all the things that you need to know about competitive programming. You could maybe check out this video where I have talked about. Let me just go through this ad once. Right. So you could go through this video. This is a complete roadmap on how you can get started with competitive programming and how you can become very good at competitive programming. Okay. So now, are you all able to understand that what are the resources to learn DSA? What are the resources to learn competitive programming? Just give me a thumbs up if this is something that you're able to understand. Okay. For competitive programming, sorry, for DSA, which channel is there? You can go to Striver's channel. Take You Forward, right? Take You Forward or Striver's channel, both of them are the same thing. For competitive programming, you could refer to my channel. There are other channels as well. Like, I am not saying that my channel is the best. You could probably go to channels like Eric To, right? There are other channels based on competitive programming, right? But you can also refer to my channel. Fine. That's a bit about DSA and a bit about competitive programming. What is DSA? What is competitive programming? How do you get started? Okay, I'll go through the chat once now to see if you have any doubts. Okay, somebody saying I am doing CP. Should I consider it the way to go for myself? I have not really explored the other domains. See, CP is again one domain. CP is one domain. Like web development is one domain. Machine learning is one domain. All of these are domains. My personal recommendation is that when you pick up one domain, go deep into it. If you're going into machine learning, go deep into it. If you're going into competitive programming, go deep into it. Right? See, I'll tell you one thing here. If you look at these slides, you would find something here. If you look at this about me section, I am talking about I am a CEO at TLE Eliminator. This is related to competitive programming. I am talking about I am an ICPC World Finalist. This is related to competitive programming. I am talking about this thing. This is related to CP. This is related to CP. These jobs that I got or these internships that I got are primarily related to CP because they helped me. Secondly, this content creation that I'm doing is around CP. This speech that I'm giving, this session that I'm taking is around CP, right? So why do you think these people who are organizing these sessions, they invited me for competitive programming? Why? Because I went deep into it. I spent 3 or almost 3.5 years doing competitive programming. I taught almost 5,000 people competitive programming, right? So if you observe this one thing, I have gone very, very deep into it. I am not writing that I know Android development, although I know a bit of Android development, but I'm not writing it here. Why? Because I've not gone deep into it. So my personal recommendation is that be it any field, be it competitive programming, any damn thing, you need to go deep into it. Okay? Don't care about your friends doing web development. Don't care about your friends doing machine learning. If you're going into one particular domain, be absolutely sure that you're going to spend 6 to 9 months in that one particular domain. Only then you will be able to master it. Okay? If you keep switching machine learning, web development, CP, everything, if you keep doing at the same time, you are not going to master any given domain. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Now, like, are you getting some clarity? That's the main motive behind the session. You should get some clarity, right? And you should get some clarity from somebody who has gone through that same journey, right? Not from some random person. Okay, I think somebody has raised their hand. Let me see. I think let's not allow you guys to unmute because then it will become like a very big session. Let's do it at the end. Okay, but feel free to write anything that you want in the chat. Cool. Just a second. So where is this thing gone? Yeah, here. So now we've talked about, we've talked about what is DSA, what is CP. I've told you the resources as well. Now the question is, why should you do CP? That's the biggest question that you might ask. That okay, if I can get a job by doing just DSA, why should I do CP? Right? Why is it necessary to do competitive programming? Why do I need to compete with people? Why can't I just learn about data structures and algorithms and be done with it? Well, the obvious answer, first of all, is that like you could link it to placements, but a better answer could be that competitive programming is not just like something that you want to study. It's something that you enjoy. It's a sport, right? See, when you play games, when you play cricket, what do you want? You want your team to win. That is the same thing that happens in competitive programming. You want to beat all the other people around, but by doing coding, right? What could be a better way to improve your coding skills? By playing a game, right? So essentially, you're playing a game here. You're trying to improve as a competitive programmer. You're trying to get better ranks. That's a game, right? You all play PUBG, right? So in PUBG also you want to improve, right? And here in competitive programming, if you can play a game and also improve your coding skills along the way, wouldn't that be just great? Right? That's one of the reasons why you should do CP. Secondly, another reason why you should do CP is that these days what is happening is that when you look at tech companies, for example, when you look at like Microsoft, Google, all of these companies, there is a lot of competition, right? If there is a lot of competition, how do you think these companies are going to reject candidates? Like, let's suppose there is a job opening at Microsoft and they're hiring for a software engineer. Considering that there are almost like lakhs and lakhs of people who are doing engineering, there will be so many people who are interested. How do you think Microsoft is going to reject people? Like, अगर 1 लाख लोगों ने अप्लाई कर दिया, Microsoft 1 लाख लोगों का तो इंटरव्यू नहीं ले सकती ना, कैसे करेंगे रिजेक्ट? How do you think Microsoft is going to reject people? They are going to reject you primarily based on this one concept, right? That their दे केयर अबाउट प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स। अब अगर दो लोग हैं, ठीक है, आपने देखा कि कंपेटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग में हम जज कर सकते हैं कि दो लोगों में कौन सा बेटर कोडर है, राइट। बेटर कोडर इज मतलब इज अ बिग सेंस, मतलब कोई मशीन लर्निंग में बहुत अच्छा हो सकता है, कोई वेब डेवलपमेंट में बहुत अच्छा हो सकता है, बट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट गूगल टाइप की कंपनीज या फिर जो बिग टेक कंपनीज है उनको क्या चाहिए? उनको चाहिए प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स एंड डीएसए नॉलेज। अब वो कैसे टेस्ट हो सकती है? एक कॉन्टेस्ट करा दो जिसमें 1 लाख लोगों को बोलो कि यार आप सब लोग आ जाओ, एक कॉन्टेस्ट दे दो, जो लोग टॉप 50 में आएंगे, जिन लोगों की टॉप 50 रैंक आएगी, हम उनको इंटरव्यू करेंगे। देन डोंट यू थिंक दिस बिकम्स कंपेटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग? लाइक आपको डीएसए तो आता है, ठीक है, डीएसए आना एक मैंडेटरी चीज हो गई कि डीएसए तो आना ही आना चाहिए, बट अगर आप एक ऐसी कंपनी में अप्लाई कर रहे हो जहां कोडिंग टेस्ट होता है, तो वहां पर ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है कि यू नो हाउ टू सॉल्व प्रॉब्लम्स फास्ट। How will you solve problems fast? When you are a good competitive programmer, when compared to other people, you are able to perform better. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि आप किसी का जाके लैपटॉप पकड़ लोगे और उसको बोलोगे कि कोड ही मत करो, मैं कोड आपसे तेज कर दूंगा क्योंकि मैंने आपका लैपटॉप ले लिया, ऐसा तो नहीं होता ना। Everyone has like enough opportunities to code fast. Then how will you code fast when you can solve the problem very very quickly? Like that's where competitive programming comes into the picture. ठीक है, अब सेम चीज आ जाती है कि लोग बोलते हैं यार सीपी करना मैंडेटरी नहीं है। करेक्ट, सीपी करना मैंडेटरी नहीं है। कब मैंडेटरी नहीं है? लेट सपोज आपको इंटरव्यू मिल गया डायरेक्टली, तो आपको सीपी करने की जरूरत पड़ी? बताओ। इंटरव्यू में क्या होता है? इंटरव्यू में दीस पीपल लाइक माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, गूगल, सेल्सफोर्स, ऑल दीस कंपनी, दे नो दैट यू आर गुड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर, दैट you are almost among the top 1% people in India or in the world in terms of problem solving. Now they just need to test whether you are a good communicator. Can you explain your thought process? Can you solve some basic standard problems and explain your thought process? तो इंटरव्यूज का कभी भी गोल टेस्ट ये टेस्ट करना नहीं होता है कि आप प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स में बहुत बढ़िया हो। मतलब ये गोल है ऑब्वियसली, कोई कोडिंग टेस्ट में अगर बहुत मतलब चीटिंग कर रहा है, लाइक सपोज वो इंटरव्यू में पहुंच जाता है, तो दिस इज आल्सो गोल टू टेस्ट द प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल, बट इट इज आल्सो टू टेस्ट वेदर यू कैन एक्सप्रेस योरसेल्फ, right? So generally in the interviews the problems are much easier compared to online assessments, the coding tests, correct? So now are you able to understand that this one thing, CP is not mandatory considering that you've gotten an interview? अब मुझे एक चीज बताओ, let's suppose you are applying to a startup, ठीक है, if you are applying to let's suppose TLE Eliminators, which is a startup, या फिर Zomato या फिर Swiggy, what do you think they would do? Do you think they really care about your like, again, startups also do these coding tests, right, just to eliminate a lot of people, because coding test is a great way to eliminate a lot of people. You could just say that, okay, I will only consider the top 50, right? So one thing that you have to understand is that there are multiple ways to apply at companies. There are companies which will never interview you without a coding test. Yes, if you are being interviewed without a coding test, that is the place where you can skip competitive programming. You can say that I don't really care about competing, I just care about knowing basic concepts like binary search, linked list, all of these things, and I'm done. And that's absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong in that. But if you're targeting a company which is going to organize a coding test, right, that is the place where competitive programming becomes the most important. Unless and until you clear a coding test, interview तो मिलेगा ही नहीं ना। ये तो बहुत harsh reality है। ठीक है? Cool. Now let's talk a bit about the difference between DSA and competitive programming. तो हमने एक चीज तो देख ली, DSA क्या है? DSA is a bunch of standard concepts and problems. Binary search, linked list, dynamic programming, graphs, trees. These are concepts. एक एल्गोरिथम अगर आपको मैंने बता दिया कि पॉइंट ए से पॉइंट बी पे पहुंचने के लिए बेस्ट एल्गोरिथम इज डाइक्स्ट्रा, दैट इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट, बट रियल वर्ल्ड प्रॉब्लम्स और कंपेटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग प्रॉब्लम्स आर नॉट सो सिंपल. Nobody is going to ask you to solve the simple problem of going from point A to point B. They will give you a complex story. You will have to figure out that, okay, Dijkstra is being used here, right? So DSA is standard concepts and problems. Competitive programming is solving those problems that are unknown using those standard concepts and problems. ठीक है, सबको समझ में आ गया this thing? Next thing is that DSA is more relevant for interviews, because in interviews they don't want to test your amazing problem solving skills. थोड़ा टेस्ट करना है उन्हें, but they also want to test your expressing skills. They want to test your communication skills, right? And they want to test on other skills like projects, आपका resume कैसा है, ये सब चीजें. But CP is more relevant for coding tests, because coding test में क्या हो रहा है? आपको देखो coding test क्या होता है, सबसे पहले coding test देखते हैं. Maybe we can find it on like Hacker Earth पे देखते हैं coding test कैसे होते हैं. ठीक है? Like they have this entire section here, coding test वाला. तो कोडिंग टेस्ट में क्या होता है, एक सेकंड देख लेते हैं. यहां शायद नहीं दिखे वो चीज. विल आई हैव टू लॉग इन? ओके, एक सेकंड देख लेते हैं. हैकर अर्थ हायरिंग चैलेंजेस, लेट्स सी. इफ यू लुक एट दिस थिंग, यहाँ पर आपको चैलेंजेस मिलेंगे, ये रीसेंट जावा हायरिंग चैलेंज, ठीक है, इसको अगर हम खोलेंगे तो यहाँ पर क्या है, 2 प्रोग्रामिंग प्रॉब्लम्स रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू जस्ट जावा, ठीक है, मतलब ये जावा डेवलपर को हायर कर रहे हैं तो जावा में प्रॉब्लम पूछेंगे, बट यहाँ पर है क्या, व्हाट इज दिस, 2 प्रोग्रामिंग प्रॉब्लम्स। अब इन्होंने प्रॉब्लम्स तो दे दी, बट ये जज कैसे करेंगे कि कौन बेटर है कौन खराब है, ये जज करेंगे उसकी स्पीड से, ठीक है। अब अगर आपने कंपेटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग करी ही नहीं, आपको बस कॉन्सेप्ट्स आते हैं, आपने कभी उनको अप्लाई नहीं करा, तो आप इस कोडिंग टेस्ट के भले ही प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर पाओगे, बट आप उतना तेज नहीं कर पाओगे जितना बाकी लोग कर पाएंगे, राइट। सो यू माइट नॉट एंड अप गेटिंग शॉर्टलिस्टेड, राइट। सो दिस इज बेसिकली अ हायरिंग चैलेंज दैट हैपेंस। एंड अगर आप कोड फोर्सेस पे देखो, तो कोड फोर्सेस पे क्या हो रहा है, सॉरी या कोड फोर्सेस पे क्या हो रहा है, ये कॉन्टेस्ट भी तो सेम चीज है ना, आपको गिवन अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम दे दिया, गिवन अमाउंट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम दे दी, स्टैंडिंग बता दी, सेम ही चीज तो हो गई, राइट। सो दैट इज वेयर कंपेटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग इज द मोस्ट रेलेवेंट, ठीक है। अब आपको समझ में आ रहा है कि क्लैरिटी क्या है, मतलब व्हाई इज सीपी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड व्हाई इज इट नॉट मैंडेटरी, ठीक है। एंड या लेट्स कम बैक टू द स्लाइड देन। नाउ वन मोर थिंग दैट आई वांट टू टेल यू इज दैट अगेन डीएसए इज अ बंच ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स। अब कॉन्सेप्ट्स को पढ़ने में ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगता, ठीक है, कॉन्सेप्ट्स को पढ़ने में, उनमें कुछ लिमिटेड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने में ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगता। सी ये स्ट्राइवर्स एसडी शीट है, ठीक है, आपको यहाँ पर ये स्ट्राइवर्स एसडी शीट मिल गई, इसमें 180 प्रॉब्लम्स है, ठीक है। 180 प्रॉब्लम्स करने के बाद वी कैन से दैट वी नो ऑल द कॉन्सेप्ट्स इन डीएसए, ठीक है। तो 180 प्रॉब्लम्स करने में तो बहुत ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा, बट अगर आप कोड फोर्सेस पे आ जाए, तो कोड फोर्सेस पे अगर आप देखोगे ना, तो प्रॉब्लम सेट अनलिमिटेड है, देयर इज नो लिमिट टू द प्रॉब्लम सेट। ये 93 मतलब इतने सेक्शंस हैं इस प्रॉब्लम के, और हर एक दिन, मतलब हर एक दिन क्या, हर एक वीक में कुछ कॉन्टेस्ट हो रहा है, जैसे कॉन्टेस्ट अपकमिंग है, 7 डेज बाद ये कॉन्टेस्ट होगा, और कुछ नई सेट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम, न्यू प्रॉब्लम्स, सीपी में क्या है, न्यू प्रॉब्लम्स, नॉट द सेम कॉन्सेप्ट्स, न्यू प्रॉब्लम्स आएंगी अराउंड द सेम कॉन्सेप्ट्स, बट वो ऐड हो जाएंगे इस प्रॉब्लम सेट में। तो सीपी तो एंडलेस है ना, सीपी को कैसे मास्टर करें, डीएसए तो हमने कह दिया कि चलो हम मास्टर कर लेंगे बाय लर्निंग अ बंच ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स, बट सीपी कैसे मास्टर करें, दैट इज द बिगर क्वेश्चन, राइट। So what happens in competitive programming is that you can never say that you have mastered it. You can only say that I am better than so many people. अब अगर मैं कह रहा हूं कि मेरी रैंक 34 है कोड फोर्सेस पे, इंडिया रैंक 34 है कोड फोर्सेस पे अमंग 45,000 पीपल, तो इसका क्लियर इंडिकेशन है कि मैं ऑलमोस्ट अमंग द टॉप 0.1% कंपेटिटिव प्रोग्रामर्स में हूं। क्यों हूं, क्योंकि मैंने उतना टाइम लगाया है, 3.5 years, राइट। सो आई कैन ओनली से दैट आई एम बेटर देन सो मेनी पीपल, आई कैन नेवर से दैट आई हैव मास्टर्ड सीपी, ठीक है। So in general it takes around 11 to 12 months to get very good at competitive programming. Okay, very good का क्या मतलब है, it means that you are among the top 1% people in competitive programming, ठीक है। And in order to get among the top 10% people in competitive programming in India, you don't even need 3 to 4 months, you need even lesser time than that, okay। So if you want to get very good at it, तब आपको 12 months लगेंगे। But अब एक चीज समझने की important मतलब चीज है, let's suppose you learned DSA, okay, and let's suppose you became very good at competitive programming. Which person do you think is going to be better? The person who has just learned DSA or the person who is very good at competitive programming? Which person is going to be better in the hiring sense? Obviously, the person who has done competitive programming. Why? Because this person knows the concepts, but this person can apply those same concepts in new problems. This person can solve those same problems faster, right? So क्या होता है कि when you do CP, you get an edge above all the other people. अब मुझे पता है कि अगर मेरी इंडिया रैंक 34 है कोड फोर्सेस पे, मैं अगर एक कोडिंग टेस्ट दे रहा हूँ, okay, if I know that I'm attempting a coding test along with 10,000 people or let's suppose 1 lakh people, ठीक है, तो मुझे पता है कि मेरी रैंक टॉप 0.1% कोडर्स में आ जाएगी, 1 लाख लोगों में से 100 में आना, टॉप 0.1% इज 1 लाख पीपल में से अंडर 100 आना, राइट। अब अगर आप 1 लाख लोगों में से अंडर 100 आ जा रहे हो, तो आपकी इंटरव्यू चांसेस आने के तो बहुत ज्यादा हो गए ना। सिमिलरली इज फॉर टॉप 1% इज लाइक ऑल्सो वेरी डिसेंट, इवन 5% इज वेरी डिसेंट। 1 लाख तो मैंने थोड़ा एग्जैजरेट करने के लिए बोल दिया, not 1 lakh people don't apply for a job, like almost 10,000 20,000 people will apply for a job and maybe they will call 100 of them, okay, that's how things work, fine। Another thing is that when you do DSA, it is first of all mandatory for placement because वो concepts तो आने चाहिए। CP is not mandatory for placement, you can go to a company which does not take a coding test, right, you could just be tested on normal DSA and you would be done, but there is one more thing, when you do DSA, अब DSA में अगर आपने 180 प्रॉब्लम्स कर ली, लेट्स सपोज आपने 180 प्रॉब्लम्स कर ली, तो क्या आप ये अपने रेज्यूमे पे ऐड करोगे? Would you add it to your resume that you have solved 180 problems? Tell me this thing. आपने ये 180 प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर ली, आपको डीएसए आता है, तो क्या आप ये अपने रेज्यूमे पे ऐड करोगे क्या कि मैंने 180 प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी है इसलिए मुझे डीएसए आता है? The answer is no, because everyone has done that. मतलब अगर आपको ABCD आती है, if you know ABCD, you will not go around flaunting that ABCD, right? You will not say that I know ABCD, so I am a very good person. But if let's suppose you won a debate competition, तब क्या आप कह सकते हो कि आप एक बहुत बढ़िया, मतलब आपकी लेट्स सपोज इंग्लिश बहुत बढ़िया है, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू वन अ डिबेट कंपटीशन, कैन यू से दैट? द आंसर इज यस. सो DSA is something that you can know, but adding it to your resume is not going to give you a perk. It is expected that you know that. But let's suppose this thing, if let's suppose I add this thing to my resume, अगर मैं ये चीज को ऐड कर देता हूँ अपने resume पे, this thing, like let's leave out the CSE, CEO or TLE Eliminators, all of these things. अगर मैं ये 3 चीजें ऐड कर देता हूँ, ICPC World Finalist, India Rank 1 Google Kickstart, Master on Code Courses, क्या इससे डायरेक्टली जो रेज्यूमे मेरा देख रहा है उसको सीधे पता चल जाएगा कि दिस पर्सन इज अ वेरी गुड कम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामर, एंड इफ दिस पर्सन इज अ वेरी गुड कम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामर, दिस पर्सन नोज ऑल DSA? Yes or no? So can I say that if you are good in CP, you can add it to your resume, and that is going to give you a big perk, because CP का क्या, मतलब CP का डोमेन क्या है और CP का फाउंडेशन क्या है? इट इज यूज्ड टू कंपेयर टू पीपल. अब अगर आप कह रहे हो आप CP में बहुत बढ़िया हो, तो उसका क्लियर इंडिकेशन है ना आप किसी और से बढ़िया हो, right? So are you all able to understand this one thing? Again, the aim of this session is not to tell you कि आपको CP करनी है. मैंने आपको ये भी बताया कि CP is not mandatory. If let's suppose you are getting an interview call, nobody is going to care about your CP skills, right? But if you're able to become good at CP, that is going to be a bonus for you, right? It is going to be a big advantage for you. Fine. So yeah, we've talked about the difference. Now the question is, how do you start CP? ठीक है, मतलब हमने ये बोला कि चलो DSA आपको स्टार्ट करना है तो आप स्ट्राइवर का चैनल फॉलो कर लो, बट CP एक्चुअली कैसे स्टार्ट करें? क्या हम रोड मैप देख लें और हमारा काम चल जाएगा? The answer is no. ठीक है, how do you get started with CP is by doing this thing. Go on to code forces, go on to problem set. This is the problem set where you start solving problems. Put a rating tag of 800. ठीक है, 800 आपने रेटिंग टैग डाल दिया यहाँ पर, अप्लाई कर दो. ये जो 800 प्रैक्टिस प्रॉब्लम्स आपको मिलेंगे ना, ये इजीएस्ट प्रॉब्लम्स हैं कम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग. और आप क्या कर सकते हो कि यहाँ पर आप ये सॉर्टिंग कर सकते हो. You can sort the problems based on the number of people who have solved this problem, this watermelon problem. इस प्रॉब्लम को कितने लोगों ने सॉल्व किया? 4,54,000 people have solved this problem till now. So can I say ये सबसे इजी प्रॉब्लम होगी? मतलब ऑब्वियसली बात है ना, जिस प्रॉब्लम पे जितने ज्यादा लोगों ने उसको सॉल्व करा है वो सबसे इजी प्रॉब्लम होगी. अब अगर आप ये प्रॉब्लम देखोगे, लेट्स सपोज 2500 की एक प्रॉब्लम देखते हैं, एक 2500 रेटेड प्रॉब्लम देखते हैं, बहुत ही टफ है. इस प्रॉब्लम पे कितने सबमिशन है? 423. सेम थिंग आ जाती है कि इतने कम लोग इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर पा रहे हैं, इसका मतलब ये प्रॉब्लम ही बहुत डिफिकल्ट है ना. So what you need to do is that as a beginner in competitive programming, you need to start from 800. 800 is the smallest rating range. Okay, you can start from that. And उसमें भी आप क्या कर सकते हो? उसमें आप sort कर सकते हो यहाँ से. If you sort on this, like if you click on this icon, what this will do is that it will sort the problems. 800 तो सबसे easy होगी. 800 में भी वो वाली सबसे problems जो कि सबसे ज्यादा लोगों ने solve करी है. ठीक है, आप यहाँ से solve करना start करो. And once you become comfortable in 800, comfortable को क्या कहते हैं? देखो, CP को आप कभी मास्टर नहीं कर सकते. यस, तो हमें हमेशा CP में वी हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई कि हैव वी गॉटन कंफर्टेबल और नॉट. जब आप कंफर्टेबल हो जाओ तो आप रेटिंग चेंज कर दो, यहां पर से 900 पे आ जाओ, राइट? चेंज द रेटिंग टू 900, स्टार्ट सॉल्विंग 900 रेटेड प्रॉब्लम्स. जब 900 पे आ जाओ, लेट्स सपोज आप कंफर्टेबल हो गए, 1000 पे चले जाओ, 1100 पे चले जाओ, राइट? सो इट इज ऑल अबाउट बिकमिंग कंफर्टेबल, मूविंग टू अ पॉइंट वेयर यू फील अनकंफर्टेबल. यू कैन नेवर मास्टर CP. लाइक आप ये इतनी सारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व ही नहीं कर सकते. 900 में तो चलो कम है, आप 800 की सारी कर लो, फिर 900 की सारी कर लो, ये तो आप कर ही नहीं सकते. और कर भी ली तो क्या गारंटी है कि जो नई प्रॉब्लम है वो आप सॉल्व कर पाओगे? देयर इज नो गारंटी. बट लेट्स सपोज आई टेल यू कि इफ यू लुक एट 100 रैंडम प्रॉब्लम्स, आप 100 में से 90 प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर पाते हो, तो क्या हम कह सकते हैं कि बहुत बढ़िया प्रोबेबिलिटी है? दिस इज अ गुड प्रोबेबिलिटी व्हिच कैन टेल मी दैट आई एम कंफर्टेबल इन दिस रेटिंग रेंज. यस और नो? यस. So you have to identify when do you get comfortable, and if you feel that okay यहाँ पर problems बहुत weird है, मतलब बहुत random problems है, you could try out my CP sheet for that. So you could go onto this website TLE Eliminators and you could go onto this free CP sheet. Okay, let me just log in. So you could go onto this free CP sheet यहाँ पर, and you would find problems from 800 to 1200. This sheet is primarily meant for beginners. जिसको कुछ नहीं आता ना CP में, वो ये sheet को start कर सकता है. Okay, you can go on to this 800 rated problems, और ये सारी की सारी handpicked है. Like along this journey of my 3.5 years of doing competitive programming, I have picked up these problems from my own hands. Like I have read almost 500 problem statements to select these 31 problems. राइट, मतलब ये CP31 शीट है बिकॉज इसमें हर एक रेटिंग में 31 प्रॉब्लम्स है. ओके, so you could go onto this sheet and start solving these problems. अब ये random problems नहीं है, these are all interesting problems. कि इसमें जो concepts covered है, you can use these concepts in future problems. Right? इस तरीके से problems pick up करी गई हैं. Okay, so now I think you are on the right track to get started with CP. Okay, and again, guys, I have all of your email. So after the session, I will share these resources with you also on the email, so you don't have to make any notes as such. Okay, तो अब random problem solving हमें तो पता चल गया कि क्या करनी है, right? We need to start solving problems basically, right? How do you pick up problems? The ones which are easiest. Then when you get comfortable, you change the rating range. Okay, and next, once you become a little comfortable in solving problems, start attempting contests. Contest you have seen already. These are available on Codeforces. All of these things, you can start solving problems. Start attempting contests. अब उसके बाद क्या होता है? सी, जब आप कॉन्टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट करते हो ना, एक आई विल शो यू वन ऑफ माय कॉन्टेस्ट. जैसे मैंने ये कॉन्टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट किया था, लेट्स सपोज दिस वन. ठीक है, इस कॉन्टेस्ट में मेरी रेटिंग गिर गई थी. रेटिंग क्या होती है? रेटिंग इज अ मेट्रिक कि आप कितने अच्छे हो कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग में. ठीक है, तो मैंने इस कॉन्टेस्ट में 3 प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करी थी. ठीक है, बाकी प्रॉब्लम्स में मेरे रॉन्ग आंसर मिला था, तो मतलब मैंने वो सॉल्व नहीं करी थी. अब जब मैंने ये प्रॉब्लम्स कर ली ना, जब मैंने 3 प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर ली, उसके बाद क्या करना है? उसके बाद यू हैव टू कम टू द प्रॉब्लम सेट एंड सी व्हिच वर द प्रॉब्लम्स दैट यू वर नॉट एबल टू सॉल्व. पिक अप द इजीएस्ट प्रॉब्लम व्हिच यू वर नॉट एबल टू सॉल्व एंड स्टार्ट ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व इट आफ्टर द कॉन्टेस्ट. ठीक है, जब आप ये वाली प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करोगे ना, जो आपसे कॉन्टेस्ट में नहीं हुई, दिस इज द प्लेस यू नो कि यू आर अनकंफर्टेबल इन दीस प्रॉब्लम्स, यू डोंट नो द कॉन्सेप्ट्स अराउंड दीस प्रॉब्लम्स. तो जब आप ये प्रॉब्लम्स करोगे तब आपको और कॉन्सेप्ट सीखने को मिलेंगे, राइट? एंड अगेन, इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू सॉल्व अ प्रॉब्लम, देयर इज अ ट्यूटोरियल अवेलेबल एज वेल. ठीक है, तो हर एक प्रॉब्लम का ट्यूटोरियल अवेलेबल होता है कोडफोर्सेस पे. दिस इज अ टेक्स्ट बेस्ड एडिटोरियल, जहां पर टेक्स्ट में आपको समझाया गया कि इस प्रॉब्लम को कैसे सॉल्व करना है. इफ यू आर लुकिंग फॉर वीडियो बेस्ड एडिटोरियल्स, जहां पर आपको हर कॉन्टेस्ट के बाद एक वीडियो एडिटोरियल मिल जाएगा, तो यू कुड चेक आउट दिस चैनल ऑफ माइन इटसेल्फ, TLE Eliminators, वेयर वी पोस्ट कॉन्टेस्ट डिस्कशन. हर एक कॉन्टेस्ट के बाद हम क्या करते हैं? हम एक पोस्ट कॉन्टेस्ट डिस्कशन डालते हैं. ठीक है, जैसे ये लास्ट कॉन्टेस्ट हुआ था कोडफोर्सेस पे, विच वाज एजुकेशनल कोडफोर्सेस राउंड 161. अगर आप कोडफोर्सेस पे जाओगे, सेम कॉन्टेस्ट आपको मिलेगा, लास्ट कॉन्टेस्ट, एजुकेशन राउंड 161. हमने इसका कॉन्टेस्ट डिस्कशन बनाया यहाँ पर. ठीक है, सो यहाँ पर क्या होता है? यहाँ पर हम वीडियो बेस्ड सोल्यूशन डिस्कस करते हैं, राइट? देयर इज अ मेंटर who discusses the problem in the form of a video solution. Okay, so if you are not able to understand text based editorials, you could even go for video based editorials. Fine, you could check out these. All of these resources are free. You don't have to buy any course for this, all of these things. Okay, so अब आपको ये समझ में आ गया कि स्टार्ट कैसे करनी है CP और कैसे इंप्रूव करना है, राइट? Now the question is, do you really need to learn DSA before starting CP? अब ये थोड़ा controversial हो सकता है. Let me ask you guys, do you need to learn DSA before you can start CP? Okay, Ankit is saying it's a great sheet. Thank you so much, Ankit. It took a lot of time. It took me almost 30 plus hours to select those problems myself. So yeah, it's great that you found that sheet good. Okay, yeah. So do you really need to learn DSA before you start CP? That's the question that you should ask yourself before starting CP, for example. The answer is no. I mean, again, you might say that Priyansh, you first of all told us that CP तो हम कर लेंगे, ठीक है. CP में वो same DSA के concepts use होंगे. तो क्या हमें पहले DSA नहीं करना चाहिए CP करने से पहले? The answer is actually no. See, I'll tell you why. CP में ना, there are 2 components. One is knowing DSA. The second component is applying those concepts, right? तो जो applying वाला concept होता है ना, कि are you able to apply a particular topic or not? That is much more important than knowing a particular topic. Let's suppose आपको एक एल्गोरिथम आता है, आपको डाइक्स्ट्रास एल्गोरिथम पता है कि गूगल यूज करता है अपना शॉर्टेस्ट पाथ फाइंड करने के लिए A से B. बट अगर आप वो प्रॉब्लम में अप्लाई ही नहीं कर पा रहे हो, तो डाइक्स्ट्रा जानने का फायदा है? Is there any benefit of knowing about a particular information when you cannot use it in your real life? The answer is no. तो पहले क्या होता है ना, पहले you need to master applying concepts before learning concepts. That's the thing that you would not find when you are in school. जब आप स्कूल में होते हो तो आप कैसे करते हो? जैसे आपको मैथ्स का, लेट्स सपोज आप यू स्टार्ट लर्निंग मैथ्स. हाउ डू यू लर्न मैथ्स? आपको कुछ सेट ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स पढ़ाए जाते हैं, फिर आप उसके ऊपर प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हो. ऐसे ही तो सीखते हो मैथ्स. बट द रीजन यू आर एबल टू लर्न मैथ्स in this format is because मैथ्स में लिमिटेड कॉन्सेप्ट्स होते हैं. जब आप क्लास 6 में होते हो तो आप लिमिटेड कॉन्सेप्ट्स होते हैं. जब आप क्लास 11th में होते हो तो लिमिटेड कॉन्सेप्ट्स होते हैं. जेई एडवांस या जेई मेंस में भी लिमिटेड सेट ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स तो है ना, मतलब कॉन्सेप्ट्स डिफाइन है कि यही कॉन्सेप्ट्स है, इन पे प्रॉब्लम्स आनी है. करेक्ट, प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं हो सकती. बट सीपी में क्या है? सीपी इज एंडलेस. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ एल्गोरिथम्स आज जो बने हुए हैं वो 10 साल बाद भी सेम एल्गोरिथम्स यूज हो रहे होंगे. द एल्गोरिथम्स माइट चेंज, राइट? सो इट इज मच मोर इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू बी एबल टू फिगर आउट whether you can use an algorithm at some place or not. Yeah, let me start charging. So if you look at the initial set of 800 rated problems, जैसे ये जो sheet है, ठीक है, अगर आप ये 800 rated problems में जाओगे ना, तो यहाँ पर आपको कोई डेटा स्ट्रक्चर सीखने की जरूरत नहीं है, यहाँ पर बेसिक मैथ्स आनी चाहिए. जैसे आप ये वाली प्रॉब्लम अगर देखोगे, ठीक है, यहाँ पर बहुत बेसिक प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, ये वाली या फिर ये वाली, ठीक है. These problems are not those जिसमें आपको बहुत heavy algorithms आने चाहिए. These are problems जहाँ पर आप बस बेसिक मैथ्स अप्लाई कर रहे हो, ठीक है. So initially you need to get very good at applying concepts. Once you get good at applying concepts, तब जब भी required है कुछ concept, तब आप उसको सीख लो. आपको अप्लाई करना तो आता ही है, ठीक है. अप्लाई करना होता है कि आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स कितनी बढ़िया है. जब आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स बहुत बढ़िया होती है ना, तो जब आप कोई कॉन्सेप्ट सीखते हो तो आप उसको अप्लाई भी कर पाते हो. बट जब आप सिर्फ एक कॉन्सेप्ट सीख रहे हो और आपको अप्लाई करना नहीं आता, तो कॉन्सेप्ट सीखना ही बेकार है ना उस सेंस में, राइट. So the answer for this is no. You can get started with CP without learning DSA. The initial set of problems you will find will not require DSA. But once you start encountering difficult problems, then you will have to learn DSA. Okay. Which problems you need to solve? We have already discussed this. Which contest you need to attempt? उस पर भी थोड़ी सी बात कर लेते हैं, ठीक है. Because contest में भी क्या होता है ना कि contest में भी some contests are difficult, some contests are easy. So when you come to contest, ठीक है, you would find these type of contests. Like यहाँ पर आपको Division 2 contest मिलेंगे, Division 3 contest मिलेंगे. This is Division 2, this is Division 2, this is Division 3, this is Division 4. तो जितना बड़ा division का number होगा, Division 4 is the easiest contest, Division 3 is a bit harder, Division 2 is a bit harder, and then Division 1 is the hardest, right? So for example, it also depends on your rating. कि अगर आपकी code forces पे rating बहुत ज़्यादा है, तो आप Div 4 contest दे नहीं सकते, आप Div 1 contest ही दे सकते हो, right? अगर आप ये देखोगे contest में, so you would find that, see, I have no Division 3 contest here or no Division 1 contest here. I have Division 2 contest, then some Division 1 contest, then some Division 2 contest, then some Division 1 contest. ऐसा क्यों है? The reason is that Division 1 and Division 2 contests are a lot harder than Division 3 and Division 4. ठीक है? So you need to pick up contests which are easier for you. My recommendation is that you pick up Division 3 contests from Code Forces. You can also try out at Coder beginner contests. Again, don't worry about making notes because I will write down an email to all of you. All of you have provided your emails. So after the session, I will send you an email where I will provide you all the resources, all of these things. सारे links मैं provide कर दूंगा, ठीक है. So you could go on to this AdCoder contest and you would find these AdCoder beginner contests. These are amazing. These are amazing for people who are starting their CP journey. Okay. Another thing is CodeChef starters. So when you come to CodeChef, you will find CodeChef starters. यहाँ पर contest में मिल जाएगा आपको. Yeah, these are all CodeChef starters. These all happen on Wednesdays. Every single Wednesday there is a CodeChef starter. These are amazing for beginners. Okay, and again, if you are stuck on problems, we provide you with, editorials on TLE Eliminators, this YouTube channel. So you could check out this channel as well. Because इसपे जो भी contest हो रहा है ना, वो सब editorials उसके आ रहे हैं. See, if you look at this particular contest, हमने Code Forces पे देखा कि 35,000 people are attempting a contest. उसमें से 5,000 लोग तो ये post contest discussion ही देख रहे हैं, right? This means that there is some sort of solution available. तो ऐसा नहीं कि आप एकदम stuck हो. Okay, cool. That's pretty much it for this thing. And yeah, I mean, this is one of my startups as well. Again, we are done with this session. If you're not interested in knowing about these things, feel free to drop off the call. But this is one of the startups that I've been running around TLE Eliminators, and it is primarily, based around competitive programming. Okay, so you could check out the website. इसपे मैं ज़्यादा बात नहीं करूँगा. I will just share the link with you, and you can check it out on your own. Okay, so this is, first of all, we have some free resources available, and then there are some paid courses available. Right, I can even show you how it looks like on this call, maybe. Or maybe I'll just show you here itself, right? How a paid course LTLE looks like. So we have divided the entire curriculum into 4 levels, first of all. So these are courses, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. These are all courses, right? Right now, वो सब मेरे लिए available है because like I'm the admin here. So all of these things are available in these courses. Like you have some set of concepts that are being taught based on कि आप किस point पे हो अपनी journey में. For example, if you are a very good competitive programmer, then you don't need to learn about C++ basics, right? But if you are somebody who is just starting your CP journey, then you might be concerned about C++ basics, C++ intermediate lectures, all of these things, right? Then you might be concerned about some practice problems. Yeah. You might be concerned about video solutions being available, right? All of these things. So ये सब चीजें मिल जाती हैं. मतलब this is a paid course, not a very expensive course. For example, level 1 is around 1,500 rupees, which you get for almost 3 months. And similar are the other courses, right? So if you want to check them out, you feel free to check them out. And yeah, that's pretty much it for TLE. Right, just a second. yeah, that's pretty much it. We've talked about CP31 sheet, and TLE is something that I've been running for almost 2.5 years. And this is something that is very, very close to my heart. For example, some of my major decisions in life that I've taken have been based around TLE eliminators. For example, my BTech project, like in college, you must be having your BTech projects, right, in your college. So my BTech project was around scaling TLE eliminators. Like when I started my BTech project, we had around 600 students. So we scaled it up to 5,500 students in like not a very big amount of time, right? So that was my BTech project. Like that's a big life decision, right? I took my BTech project on TLE eliminators. So if TLE eliminators wouldn't have worked, I wouldn't have got my degree, and I would have had to spend one more semester at college to complete my degree. Right. Similarly, there are other life decisions that I've taken around it. For example, I quit Zomato primarily because the work-life balance was not that great, and I was not getting enough time to focus on TLE eliminators. Like this is one thing that requires almost 3 to 4 hours of my day every single day. Right. There are a lot of things that keep happening. So yeah, that's pretty much it about TLE. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's it. I think. Let me stop sharing. How do I stop sharing? Yeah, I think I have stopped sharing. Are you able to see my screen, or is it stopped?
You stopped sharing.
So guys, that is it from my side, and I hope you found this session insightful. And थोड़ी clarity आ गई होगी कि चीजें कैसे काम करती हैं, right? And after the session, I'll send you all a mail where I will share all the links that I just talked about. Those may, like, you will get all the resources. Cool.
Thank you, everyone, and I'm confident now that now you all are geared up about the DSA and all the CP concepts. So, like, if you have any doubts, you can write at the Q&A session, and you can raise your hands. So, if the management could unmute yourself, so they can. So, you can ask your doubts at the Q&A box.
So yeah, Tejas, your mic is allowed. You can speak now.
Hello, Priyansh. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you're audible. Yeah.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak, first of all. Hi, Priyansh. This is Tejas. I'm right now in third year. I have completed my fifth semester. And in my first year itself, I did DSA. I took Coding Ninjas course. I took Coding Ninjas course, solved all the questions there. And then when I came to second year, I totally left DSA just because of development in blockchain. I came to blockchain, and then I participated in a lot of hackathons around 11 to 12. I didn't waste any time. I completely used that, but I left DSA. And now after failing 2 to 3 OA, I have realized that DSA and CP is really very important. And I'm completely willing to work upon that. Alongside, I'm doing development as well. I can't leave that. I really love, and I want to make a balance. So I just want to know some tips. I guess how can I balance, or I have at least 3 to 4 months to be placed. At least 4 months I have. So my plan is to do 2 to 3 questions daily of competitive programming, and I'm already solving them. And will 4 months enough to improve 3 to 4 questions daily if I do 3 to 4 questions to at least reach to 600 700 rating? Because I have heard a lot that 1600 or
1600.
17.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So I'll tell you one thing here, right? You were talking about striking a balance between development and DSA. तो DSA में ना एक जो बहुत बढ़िया चीज है, या फिर CP में जो एक बहुत बढ़िया चीज है, वो ये है कि आपको हमेशा ना कंप्यूटर के सामने बैठना नहीं पड़ता टू एक्चुअली प्रोग्रेस. मतलब लेट सपोज आपने प्रॉब्लम पढ़ी, ठीक है, उसमें आपको मान लो कुछ करना था, सम ऑफ ऑड नंबर, सम ऑफ इवन नंबर्स, कुछ ऐसा करना था. तो एक चीज बताओ मुझे, कि आपको इज इट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर यू टू सिट ऑन द कंप्यूटर फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 4 hours जस्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट द प्रॉब्लम? द आंसर इज नो. सो डीएसए को ना आप क्या कर सकते हो कि जब आपके पास फ्री टाइम होता है, जैसे मैं ऐसे करता था. देखो, मैंने 3000 प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करी है, कोड फोर्सेस, कोड शेफ, ऐड कोडा सब मिला के. अब 3000 प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना ना काइंड ऑफ पॉसिबल ही नहीं है अगर आप बहुत चीजों में इन्वॉल्व हो. जैसे मैं कंटेंट क्रिएशन में इन्वॉल्व हूँ, मैं बहुत सारी चीजों में इन्वॉल्व हूँ, राइट? वो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, बट मैं कैसे कर पाया वो मैं थोड़ा बताता हूँ आपको। तो व्हाट आई यूज्ड टू डू इज दैट I never used to read a problem and then sit on the computer thinking about the problem. मैं क्या करता था कि जैसे लेट सपोज मुझे फॉर एग्जांपल मुझे नहाने जाना है, ठीक है, अब मैं जब नहा रहा हूँ ऑब्वियसली यार मतलब थोड़ा ये तो एक्सपेक्टेड है कि आप थोड़ा प्रेजेंट में भी जियो, बट लेट सपोज आपको टाइम सेव करना, तो आपको जब पता है कि कंपेटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग या डीएसए में मेजर पार्ट इज थिंकिंग, 90% पार्ट इज थिंकिंग, 10% पार्ट होता है कोड लिखना। तो जो 90% पार्ट जो वाला वो है ना, वो आप कहीं पर भी स्पेंड कर सकते हो। लेट सपोज मैं नहा रहा हूँ तो मैं सोच रहा हूँ, ठीक है, लेट सपोज मैं कहीं वॉक पे जा रहा हूँ तो मैं सोच रहा हूँ, या फिर लेट सपोज मैं गाड़ी में जा रहा हूँ, ठीक है, लेट सपोज आई एम नॉट ड्राइविंग, तो आई एम थिंकिंग अबाउट द प्रॉब्लम, ठीक है। तो मैं क्या करता था, जस्ट टू स्ट्राइक अ बैलेंस या फिर जस्ट टू सेव सम टाइम, मैं सुबह कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स पढ़ लेता था, 2 प्रॉब्लम्स मैंने पढ़ ली, और रात में मैं एम करके चलता था कि जब मैं घर पे वापस आऊंगा तो मैं उस टाइम सिर्फ कोड करूंगा, मैं सोचूंगा नहीं उस टाइम, राइट। तो इससे क्या होता है कि इससे जो आपका वेस्ट टाइम है ना जो दिन का, वो बच जाता है, ठीक है, और आपको बहुत प्रोडक्टिव फीलिंग आती है जब आप रात में सो रहे हो ना, तो आपको लगेगा यार मैंने तो आज बहुत उखाड़ लिया। तो एक चीज तो वो है। दूसरी चीज यू मेंशन्ड अबाउट कि मतलब कितना टाइम रिक्वायर्ड है टू बिकम 1600 1700, तो उसमें आई वुड से वन थिंग कि पहली बात तो ना इसको ऐसे मत सोच के चलो कि यार 1600 पे पहुंचना है तो ही मेरी बढ़िया प्लेसमेंट लगेगी या फिर वो ही रिक्वायरमेंट है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। इवन इफ यू बिकम अ स्पेशलिस्ट ऑन कोड फोर्सेस या जो 1400 रेटिंग है कोड फोर्सेस पे, आप इंडिया के टॉप 10% में पहुंच जाते हो, ठीक है। इवन इफ यू लाइक अगर आप 1600 बन जाते हो तो आप इंडिया के 5% है, इंडिया के टॉप 3% में बन जाते हो, ठीक है। तो इतना मतलब ऐसे करके नहीं सोचना कि यार 1600 पे ही पहुंचना है। योर गोल शुड बी कि देखो आपको डीएसए आपको आता है, आपने बोला कि आपने डीएसए करा था, तो ऐसा करो कि आप रिवाइज कर पाओ डीएसए, एक तो चीज वो है। रिवाइज करने का मतलब क्या है कि स्ट्राइवर्स एसडी शीट कर लो, ठीक है, हर दिन कुछ कुछ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर लो क्योंकि आपने पहले भी कर रखा है, तो वो इजीली हो जाएगा। सेकेंडली सीपी में कैसे है कि आप थोड़ा थोड़ा करते जाओ, आप ये मेक श्योर करो कि आप हर एक हफ्ते में एक कॉन्टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हो, बस इतना काम कर लो। हर एक हफ्ते में एक कॉन्टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट करना है, उसको अपसॉल्व करना है। अपसॉल्व करने का मतलब क्या है कि 3 प्रॉब्लम्स कॉन्टेस्ट में थी तो चौथी प्रॉब्लम बाद में करोगे, बस आप इतना भी करोगे ना तो इतना इज इनफ। अगर आप 3-4 महीने इतना करोगे तो आई थिंक यू विल बी एट अ फाइन प्लेस। मतलब 1600 1700 मत सोचो क्योंकि वो एक तरह से एक मेंटल प्रेशर बनता है उससे, और कुछ नहीं होता। आई होप दैट आंसर्स योर डाउट तेजस।
Thank you so much. And for DSA, what I have done is I have created a group of 4 friends, and we there is a sheet of 450 questions listed. But we have decided we will be solving 25 questions per week, as we already know the DSA. 25 questions per week is enough, I guess.
हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल सही है, मेक सेंस।
Thank you so much.
Also guys, one more thing, मतलब I understand कि सबके डाउट्स क्लियर नहीं हो पाएंगे, तो what I can do is I can share my LinkedIn in the chat, तो तुम मेरे साथ LinkedIn पे कनेक्ट कर सकते हो। What I can do is कि मतलब अभी जो एटलीस्ट नेक्स्ट,
Can I share my LinkedIn over here in chat? Can you connect please?
No, I mean I'll share my LinkedIn, तो आप लोग कनेक्शन रिक्वेस्ट भेजना, मैं उस पर कनेक्ट कर लूंगा। मतलब ऐसे मैं आपकी LinkedIn सर्च करूंगा तो बहुत टाइम लग जाएगा। So just a second, let me see if I can put something in the chat. Ask a question पे ही डाल देता हूँ मैं। तो आप LinkedIn पे कनेक्ट कर लो मेरे साथ, LinkedIn या ट्विटर, मतलब आपको ये प्रोफाइल्स में मेरी सीधे मिल जाएंगे। आप गूगल कर लो प्रियांश अग्रवाल, तो आपको LinkedIn ट्विटर सब कुछ मिल जाएगा। मैं बस लिंक शेयर कर रहा हूँ जस्ट फॉर योर विजिबिलिटी। बट किसी के डाउट्स अगर क्लियर नहीं हो पाते हैं, कुछ स्पेसिफिक डाउट है, तो आप LinkedIn पे मुझसे पूछ सकते हो। ओके, एंड व्हाट आई कैन डू इज, मतलब ऑब्वियसली LinkedIन पे क्या होता है कि पहले आपको कनेक्शन रिक्वेस्ट भेजनी पड़ती है, मैं एक्सेप्ट करूंगा तभी आप मुझे मैसेज कर सकते हो। तो अभी मेरे पास बहुत ज्यादा कनेक्शन रिक्वेस्ट पड़ी हुई है, तो मैं ऐसे एक्सेप्ट करना छोड़ देता हूँ, राइट। सो व्हाट यू कैन डू, मतलब व्हाट आई कैन डू इज कि नेक्स्ट 5 आवर्स में या फिर नेक्स्ट 2-3 आवर्स में जितनी भी कनेक्शन रिक्वेस्ट आएंगी वो मैं सारी एक्सेप्ट कर लूंगा, सो दैट यू गाइस कैन आस्क डाउट्स, ठीक है। तो अगर आप कनेक्ट कर रहे हो तो आप अभी भेज देना, सो दैट आई कैन एक्सेप्ट इट। Any other doubts that you have?
So can we unmute 1-2 more people if you have time?
Yeah, totally.
So Karthike, you can enable your mic.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Karthike.
Yeah, actually I want to start CP, but I don't have a very good problem solving skills. Like
Okay.
I am practicing hacker rank right now, then I will switch to lead code, but I struggle in making hacker rank questions also. I want to know that how should I build my problem solving skills, because some basic questions even I can't solve. So
सही है, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती है। पॉइंट इज कि यू नो फॉर अ फैक्ट कि आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स अभी अच्छी नहीं है, ठीक है, तो आपको पता है कि उस पर काम करना है। सबसे पहली बात तो ये इंपॉर्टेंट है कि जानना कि आपको क्या आता है क्या नहीं आता, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। तो आपने ये चीज आइडेंटिफाई कर ली कि आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स अभी बढ़िया नहीं है, आपसे इजी प्रॉब्लम भी सॉल्व नहीं हो पा रही। अब इसका सोल्यूशन बहुत सिंपल है। सबसे पहले क्या होता है ना कि एक टाइमर सेट कर लो अपने लिए। आप कभी भी एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हो ना सीपी में, वो एंडलेस है। अगर आपको कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं आता तो आप भाई उस पर 10 दिन बैठे रहोगे तो आपसे प्रॉब्लम फिर भी सॉल्व नहीं होगी, राइट। तो एक टाइमर सेट कर लो कि 40-50 मिनट में ऑनेस्टली एक अटेम्प्ट मारूंगा जिसमें मैं एक ऑनेस्ट थिंकिंग करूंगा, पेन एंड पेपर लेके बैठूंगा, सारी ऑब्जर्वेशंस लिस्ट डाउन करूंगा, फिर अगर कुछ नहीं बन रहा है तो फिर मैं कुछ हिंट्स लूंगा एडिटोरियल से फिर सोल्यूशन देख के, ठीक है। कुछ हिंट्स लेने के बाद भी अगर सोल्यूशन नहीं समझ में आ रहा है तो फिर मैं पूरा सोल्यूशन पढ़ूंगा। और जैसे मैं आपको एक समझा देता हूँ ये कैसे करते हैं, राइट। ये सेम चीज मैं समझा देता हूँ कि कैसे करते हैं। जैसे कोड फोर्सेस है, ठीक है, हर एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे सेम चीज है वैलिड। ऐसा नहीं कि किसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे डिफरेंट है, किसी पे दूसरे पे डिफरेंट है, ऐसा नहीं। आप यहाँ पर जाओ एडिटोरियल में, मान लो आपसे आप ये डी प्रॉब्लम कर रहे थे, आपको नहीं समझ में आ रही कि कैसे सॉल्व होगी, तो एडिटोरियल में जाओ और यहाँ पर ना एडिटोरियल में जनरली हिंट्स दे रखे होते हैं। मतलब आजकल कोड फोर्सेस पे ऐसे आने लगे, तो हिंट्स पढ़ो कि जैसे उन्होंने बोला व्हाट डज द डिस्टेंस ऑफ टू लीव्स, व्हाट डज द डिस्टेंस ऑफ टू लीव्स दैट शेयर द सेम हिंट लुक लाइक। तो इसे आप सोचो थोड़ा कि आपको इस हिंट से कुछ सोल्यूशन बन रहा है, दूसरा हिंट पढ़ लो, फिर भी नहीं बन रहा है तो पूरा सोल्यूशन देख लो। बट ये वाला सेक्शन कभी नहीं खोलना है, ये वाला जो सेक्शन है ना, कोड वाला, इसको कभी नहीं खोलना, इसको हमेशा बंद रखना है। कोड हमेशा खुद से करना है कि ठीक है समझ में नहीं आई अप्रोच, लेकिन अब इससे तो समझ लिया ना, इससे भी समझ में नहीं आया तो एडिटोरियल वीडियो सोल्यूशन देख लिया लेट्स सपोज। उसके बाद लेकिन कोड खुद से करना है। कोड में ये नहीं है कि आप कोड में भी रिलाय कर रहे हो मेन सोल्यूशन पे, ठीक है। बस इतना करो कि एक टाइमर सेट कर लो। उसके बाद कोई ईगो वाली बात नहीं है कि यार मुझसे प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुई तो अब मैं सोल्यूशन देख रहा हूँ, फर्क नहीं पड़ता। एज लॉन्ग एज कि आप एक ऑनेस्ट अटेम्प्ट दे रहे हो 40-50 मिनट में, आप कंटिन्यूसली प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हो, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स बढ़ेगी, ठीक है। एंड आई वुड रिकमेंड अगर आपको मतलब एक्चुअली बढ़िया प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी है तो आप CP31 शीट कर सकते हो। मतलब अगेन आई एम नॉट काइंड ऑफ प्रमोटिंग इट, एक फ्री रिसोर्स है ये, इसमें मैंने बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लगाया टू बिल्ड दिस शीट। एंड इवन इफ यू लुक एट द रिस्पॉन्सेज दैट पीपल शेयर ऑन लिंक्डइन या फिर ट्विटर, पीपल प्रेज दिस शीट सो मच बिकॉज इसमें बहुत ही बढ़िया कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं जो मैंने हैंड पिक कर रखे हैं, राइट। तो आप यहाँ पर जा सकते हो और आप इसके मतलब इन प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व कर सकते हो, स्पेशली अगर आपको बहुत ज्यादा कॉन्सेप्ट्स इन शॉर्टर अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम सीखने हैं तो। ओके,
मतलब मैं नो वो तो तब भी कर सकता हूँ ना?
क्या क्या कर सकते हो, समझा नहीं मैं।
मतलब आई मीन मेरे से बेसिक्स भी नहीं होते, मतलब हैकर रैंक तो बहुत बेसिक होता है बट वो नहीं होता, तो मैं डायरेक्ट इस पे जंप करूँ या हैकर रैंक में थोड़ी बहुत क्वेश्चंस करूँ?
थोड़े बहुत हैकर रैंक में और कर लो, फर्क नहीं पड़ता उस तरह से। डिफरेंस पता क्या होता है? डिफरेंस ये होता है हैकर रैंक पे छोटे प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट्स होते हैं, प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट समझने इजी होते हैं हैकर रैंक पे। प्रॉब्लम की डिफिकल्टी में उतना ह्यूज डिफरेंस नहीं है। कोड फोर्सेस पे भी आपको बहुत इजी प्रॉब्लम्स मिल जाएंगी, जैसे 800 से 1200 जो रेटेड प्रॉब्लम्स मैंने चूज कर रखे हैं, ये बहुत इजी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। अगर आप 2500 रेटेड प्रॉब्लम पे जाओगे तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है। तो द आइडिया इज कि प्रॉब्लम्स की डिफिकल्टी आपको दोनों जगह सेम मिल सकती है, बट हैकर रैंक पे क्या होता है, प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट समझना थोड़ा इजी होता है कंपेयर टू कोड फोर्सेस। तो हैकर रैंक भी थोड़ा कंटिन्यू कर लो, फिर कोड फोर्सेस पे आ जाना, ठीक है। बाकी अब मैं एक चीज और सजेस्ट करूंगा, आप ऐड कोडर ट्राई कर सकते हो। जैसे मैं एग्जांपल ही दिखा देता हूँ, आई होप माय स्क्रीन इज विजिबल। वैसे ऐड कोडर में क्या होता है ना कि जैसे शायद मुझे यहाँ पर कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स मिल जाएंगी, एक सेकंड। ऐड कोडर की जैसे हम लेवल 1 एंड 2 में काफी ऐड कोडर की प्रॉब्लम्स देते हैं क्योंकि वो काफी मतलब इजी होती है और छोटे प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट्स होते हैं उनके। यहाँ पर तो नहीं है शायद, B2 में देख लेते हैं। मतलब मैं आपको डिफरेंस दिखा दूंगा इससे। जैसे ये ऐड कोडर की प्रॉब्लम है, ठीक है। ऐड कोडर प्रॉब्लम्स और कोड फोर्सेस प्रॉब्लम्स में बहुत छोटा सा डिफरेंस है। इस प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट को पढ़ो कितना है ये। जैसे ये प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है, ठीक है। सिमिलरली ये एक प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट ऐड कोडर है, ये प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट पूरा है, ठीक है। यहाँ पर सब कुछ समझा दिया प्रॉब्लम में क्या करना है। ये प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट चलो थोड़ा बड़ा है क्योंकि यहाँ पर थोड़ी चीजें बता रहे हैं, ठीक है, कि मतलब हर एक चीज को थोड़ा ओवर एक्सप्लेन कर रखा है। बट कोड फोर्सेस पे ना ऐसा नहीं होता। कोड फोर्सेस के प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट देखते हैं एक बार। ये देखो, ये ना ये इजी प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट नहीं है, समझना ही इसको मुश्किल है पहले तो, ठीक है। सिमिलरली ये ऐसा नहीं है कि बहुत इजी है ये समझना, इसको समझना मुश्किल है। तो आप क्या कर सकते हो, आप ऐड कोडर पे जा सकते हो क्योंकि ऐड कोडर पे ना ये बैरियर खत्म हो जाता है कि प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट भी इतने बड़े हैं तो आपको प्रॉब्लम ही समझ नहीं आ रही। दो चीजें हैं ना यहाँ पर, एक है प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स और एक है प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट ही समझ नहीं आ रहा। अब भाई जिसको प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट समझ नहीं आ रहा उसको आप ये नहीं बोल सकते ना कि उसकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स अच्छी है। तो आई वुड से कि आप थोड़ा ऐड कोडर ट्राई कर लो। हो सकता है कि आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स एक्चुअली अच्छी हो बट बस आप थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम समझ नहीं पा रहे हो अभी, ठीक है। दैट्स समथिंग। Okay. I think
So
we can
yeah,
allow one more
guys,
person
as
to.
yes, I just want to continue. Like as Priyansh said, you can just send him the connection on LinkedIn, so he will accept that, and you can message in person.
Correct. And also, अगर LinkedIn पे नहीं होता तो you can also send it to me on Twitter. मैं Twitter का भी डाल देता हूँ link पर. Again, सारी चीजें तुम्हें Google करने से भी मिल जाएंगी, but just providing it for visibility. ठीक है. And also I'll send you an email जिसमें मैं सारी links provide कर दूंगा जो भी सारी resources के बारे में discussion किया था और these links as well. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I think that's pretty much it. We can end it then.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much,
Priyansh.
Priyansh,
It
for
was
that.
such an insightful
Thank you,
session.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Should I like drop off the call or?
Yeah, as we are near end to today's session, Namespace community has an electrifying surprise in store for you. Introducing Hack Hazards. So, yeah. So wait for the surprise, as I told you. It's a big news. We are making it official finally. Namespace community of BPIT is organizing a 24-hour long hackathon. Mark your calendars of March 3rd week, that is 16th and 17th of March. We are doing something special and you have to be part of it. Now, I know what you're thinking. What makes this hackathon different? Well, this is not a only hackathon, but it's the largest hackathon in the IPO. And here's the cherry on top. Every participant will walk with assured digital goodies. We are not just about a pat on the back, but we are talking about exclusive digital goodies. And guess what? There are cool prizes, not just for the champs, but for everyone. Details coming your way. Cash prize along with super duper cool swags and goodies will be yours. So scan the QR code. So get excited and buckle up to be the part of Hack Hazards. More than a hackathon in which you will explore, create, innovate, and win. Scan the QR code to get more details, visit the site, and get excited.